When my children were very small, we used to read books together all the time. And one of the favourite series of books we used to read were called the Little Princess stories. Little Princess, well, she was quite cheeky, but she was always trying to get things right and improve things. One of my favourite books in this series was called I Want to Be. And in this story, the little princess decides that she wants to be what she should be when she grows up. But then she wasn't quite sure what it meant and what she would have to do or change in order to be all grown up. So she decided to go around and ask the trusted adults around her what they thought she should be. She started off with her mother, the queen, and then her father, the king. And then she went to the palace head cook, the army general, the admiral of the navy, the prime minister, the royal doctor, and then the royal maid. Well, each one of them came up with some good advice on what she should be. But often it was advice they couldn't keep themselves. They said things to her like this: be kind, like your father, be loving, like your mother, be clean, be brave, be good at swimming, clever and healthy. All very good advice. But in the end, the princess was asked what she wanted to be. And after much thought, she decided that what she wanted to be was tall. And then she realized that to her brother, she already was tall. As you journey through school, you too may wonder what you might end up being when you grow up and go out into the wider world. Every day, you learn new skills in school. I don't mean just skills like maths and English and science. All these are great skills, but skills such as how to make friends and keep them, how to work alongside others that maybe are not like you. These are tricky things to learn. And actually, even as adults, we are learning these things all the time. So sometimes we look to others to give us a good example to follow. It's what we call having a role model. As a Christian, my role model is in Jesus. But how can we really tell what Jesus is like? In the Bible, there's recorded some things that Jesus said. These are the 8 Beatitudes, and they were spoken about by Jesus. And this week, we're going to look at the Beatitudes in a slightly different way. Jesus came to teach us how to be in the world. He came to teach us not just by the words he said, but by the way he lived and the way he treated others. He is, if you like, a living portrait of godly attitudes. When we look at Jesus, we can often fall short, and we realize that there's still many things we might want to change in ourselves. But Jesus said he is poor in spirit. He knows just how much he needs to be close to God, and he calls God his Father. And he knows that he needs his Father to be with him in all things. Jesus weeps in the gospel story. He's shown as being deeply moved by the others that he met who were troubled or unwell. He wept at the grave of his very special friend Lazarus, and he had what we call deep compassion for others. Jesus is meek and humble. He knelt down and washed the feet of his disciples. Those are his special friends. He came to serve and not to be served. He surrendered himself to his enemies to die on the cross like a common criminal. Though for Christians, he is God's son, God's chosen one. Jesus is hungry and thirsty for justice, always seeking to do right where wrongs were. He even chased the money changers out of the temple because they were cheating people out of their money. Jesus is merciful. He teaches his disciples that we should not just forgive people 7 times, but 70 times 7 times, just as God forgives us over and over again for the stuff that we get wrong. Jesus is pure in heart. He shows us a picture of holiness. He lives that holiness in who he is every day. Jesus' whole mission is to be a peacemaker, building a new community who are recognized by their love for both one another and for God through Jesus and through one another. Jesus is persecuted for the sake of being right with God. He did nothing wrong, and yet he did die on the cross to pay the price for the sins of all humankind, all the stuff that humankind has done and continues to get wrong. So for those who follow Jesus, for those who want to be like they should be and be like Jesus, we don't always get things right because we're human and, well, yes, we're rather weak at times. But each day is a new day and a new start, and Jesus is our role model as Christians. Each day we can begin again, but there is more to explore about this in the next week of Come and See. So listen again then.